Welcome to the Sisterhood of Sweat. It's Let It Rip Friday.
Hi, I'm Linda Mitchell, 54-year-old elite obstacle racer, award-winning fitness competitor, gym owner, and author. Welcome to the Sisterhood of Sweat podcast, where we will approach the difficult topics of life, interview inspiring guests, and bring empowerment to all. This community is a place where we can be who we are instead of who others want us to be. Let's get started.
And now, a word from our sponsors, Essential Formulas.
Hi, this is Frankie Boyer, and I believe, I don't know about your lifestyle, but some days I need roller skates. My lifestyle is crazy busy, and I'm pulled in so many directions. It takes a toll on my health. That's why I am proactive. I don't go a day without my Dr. Ohhira's probiotics. It's just that important to me. As the expression goes, the road to good health is paved with good intestines. Dr. Ohhira's is not just a probiotic supplement, it's a complete flora balancing system, helping to bring your body back into balance naturally. Doctor recommended, made with organic ingredients, dairy and gluten-free, and needs no refrigeration. Perfect for travel. I believe that Dr. Ohhira's probiotics are the best probiotics on the market today. To learn more about Dr. Ohhira's probiotics, visit essentialformulas.com. Dr. Ohhira's probiotics are available at Vitamin Shop, Whole Foods, Sprouts, and other fine health food stores nationwide.
And I'm going to start us off with a quote by Desmond Tutu. Forgiveness says you are given another chance to make a new beginning. And last week I was talking about going to the funeral of my abuser. And I went through all of the emotions, the grief that I was experiencing, the anger, because I felt like I had been finished with that, put that away, dealt with that. I was feeling things I didn't want to feel. I was having to relive every trauma, every moment. And it took a lot of strength for me to be able to leave my marriage where I was physically abused and my children it was in the beginning phases. It took a lot of strength for me to be able to do that. So I literally compartmentalized everything, and which actually I find is it's actually a healthy thing. It kind of protects you. And I just kind of made up my mind, put it over here to the left. I was done with that chapter. Let's move on and make a new book, a new chapter. Let's just move on and create a great life, and we're done with that. So when somebody passes, you're not expecting you're going to face all that again. You're going to grieve the loss of what you lost the first time, but it's even somewhat greater because it's final. And you did love that person. So it's mixed in there with everything else. So I went through the whole process last week of how I went from extreme sadness to anger, to relief, to feeling some guilt, to facing my fears and realizing I had anger and fears that I really didn't need to carry with me anymore. And isn't that the truth, that we could be carrying feelings for eternity, for a very, very long time, and not even recognize it, because I thought I had forgiven him and I had moved on. And I did, but I still had work to do. And I knew that when the anger was coming up on the second day. And I wanted to do the work. I wanted to be able to just be done and just release all of the feelings, the fear, the anger, because I recognized I didn't need to carry it with me anymore. I didn't need to be afraid anymore. I didn't need to be angry about something that happened 31 years ago. I created a whole new life for myself. I didn't need to hold resentment. I think sometimes we have these feelings and they empower us to be able to move on from something, but we at some point need to recognize that that was then and this is now. And we can build things up larger than life in our mind when we think about facing like fears, like being around somebody that maybe we felt was toxic to us, or maybe it was a situation where you just cut everyone off and you moved on and you compartmentalized like I did. But you build these things up larger than life in your mind. And so I told you last week I was going to tell you how it was, because I don't think it's for everyone to go to the funeral of someone that physically abused them. But for me, it was so healing in so many ways. I was able to forgive and love the person that he was, and forgive the mistakes that he made, or decisions, I guess would be even a better way to put it, and able to really recognize and see that he was just a product of his environment and the things that went on in the house that he was raised in. And that really enabled me to have a greater forgiveness. And forgiveness is for us, because the person might not be around anymore that you need to forgive. They may never give you that apology that you've been looking for, or that remorse that you feel like you so desperately need. But you can be released from all of that anger and bitterness by giving that to yourself. And I got such closure and a better perspective. And it kind of warmed my heart to hear that he had become a better man, a better father. People spoke well of him. That mattered to me. That's all I really ever hoped for. And then to hear my son talk about how in the last 8 years they developed a relationship and how much it had meant to him. So that was very healing. And how do we recognize that we haven't healed from something? We examine the feelings that come up that we're still having. The anger, the resentment, maybe bitterness, the sadness. And for me, I completely just cut them off. And that's how I dealt with it. Maybe was not to deal with it because I had to be safe at the time. But I recognized I'm not a victim hiding under a rock. I'm a strong person. I don't need to be afraid anymore. I'm not weak. I think before, I was afraid that I'd take one more "I'm sorry, please forgive me, I'll never do it again," and just go back. And this mission that I have, look at all the people that I've helped that have been along on the journey of the Sisterhood of Sweat. All of us women together, strong women, empowering each other, achieving together, just like my acronym for SWEAT. And I can look at all the good that has come out of a bad situation. And you can too. You can recognize that when you make a decision to move on from a bad situation, you can make the best out of everything. You can turn your life, your whole life around, and you can do beautiful things, bigger things, better things than you ever dreamed that you ever could. And so everything that I got from that experience, and I think I'm still kind of getting, is closure. I feel released completely. I completely made my peace with God and my forgiveness for him. I even said a prayer for him, and then made my peace And then it was like seeing the family, it was like I had never left. I built that up in my mind. I was worried, is the ex-wife going to attack me? How's the family going to be? And everyone just received me. And everyone was loving and kind. And it was a tribute to humanity at its best. So I would just say you can do hard things. And I realized it would just be easy for me to stay home. Nobody was expecting me to be there. But my son told me he felt so supported and appreciated it so much, my husband and I being there, that meant everything to me. And so I would just say that it was worth it. It was the hard thing to do. And once I had made up my mind, I knew it was the right thing to do and that it was what I needed to do. So if you're making a hard decision out there, sometimes it's easier to be like, well, nobody really expects me to. I don't really need to. I don't really want to. Like, who wants to? I hate going to funerals in general. So I don't like to talk about things like this very often, but I think it's a process. It's a necessary thing. It's something that we could all go through at some point or another. And maybe yours isn't a funeral. That's sad that was the end. Maybe you can have forgiveness long before and closure long before something like that occurs. So that was my take. And I'm going to leave you guys with one more quote. True forgiveness is not an action after the fact. It is an attitude with which you enter each moment. And that was said by David Rage. And that's kind of ironic. So it's an attitude you carry with you in each moment. And can't remember the quote, but it's something about like wishing for someone else to die or have something bad happening to them. It's like drinking poison yourself. And so you could be abused and carry all that anger with you and react and get down on a level like they do. Or you could choose to rise above it. And carrying toxic feelings, I hate to say it, but it can make you a toxic person. So you have to say, hey, I'm going to rise above. I don't want to be on the same level as somebody that may have hurt me, because I'm not going to allow anyone to take away the trueness of my soul. I'm not going to allow anybody to change the inside of my heart. I am the owner of my heart, and I am the decision maker of my destiny. One of the hardest things was realizing that I had been carrying the anger and the fear as a protection mechanism. So when I was going to let it go, I felt so unprotected. And you may have been carrying something like that yourself, and you feel like when you let it go that you're all vulnerable and exposed and naked. And it is that kind of an experience. But you could fill it up with good things rather than that. And maybe you're in the same place I was, where I realized I'm strong. I'm not a victim anymore. I don't need to be protected. I don't need to carry those feelings anymore or harbor any resentment, anger, any of it. And that, therefore, I was able to release it. And that's why it was just so healing. Hey, guys, I hope you enjoyed this Let It Rip. I hope it gave you food for thought. Let me know what you got out of it. I'd love to hear about some of your experiences. This was definitely a hard week. I felt like my emotions were all over the place, which is not me at all. And now I feel like I found some peace. Bye, everyone. Keep on keeping on and enjoy this weekend.
And I hope that all of our listeners have enjoyed this podcast. And if you guys have really enjoyed this, please review us in iTunes and also share this episode with your friends and your loved ones. Thanks again for listening to the Sisterhood of Sweat.